I'm going to call this meeting to order. Could we get a roll call, please, Miss Gina?
Yes. President Osborne,
Here.
Secretary Cordova,
Here.
Member Hamilton,
Here.
Member Martin,
Here.
Member Egbert.
Here. We have a quorum. We're all present tonight. Would you please stand and join Mr. Martin as he leads us in the pledge and salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is with the resignation of Mrs. Epps, we are missing a vice president, so we need to reorganize ourselves. Do you have comments or suggestions or motions?
If I may, it's okay.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Mrs. My mind went blank.
Oh, you've got Miss Osborne or Miss Egbert?
Yeah, Miss Osborne, that's Preds. Vice President is Sean Hamilton, no, Paul Cordova, and Secretary Sean Hamilton.
Can I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mr. Martin and a second by Ms. Egbert for me to continue as president, for Mr. Cordova to become vice president, and for Mr. Hamilton to become secretary. Let's do a roll call for that, please.
President Osborne,
Yes.
Secretary Cordova,
Yes.
Member Hamilton,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes,
Member Egbert.
And if you don't get our positions changed right now, that would be good. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is to consider approval of the minutes from the December 17th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
second.
Okay, got a motion from Mr. Hamilton and a second by Mr. Martin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The next item is the consideration of the approval of the agenda for the January 28th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Cordova, a second from Mr. Hamilton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Are there any questions or comments about the consent agenda this evening?
No, Madam President.
No questions.
No? Ms. Egbert, do you have any? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as published.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Martin and a second from Mr. Hamilton. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Down to superintendent's report. Russ.
Thank you, Madam President. My first item tonight, we have Mr. Williams.
Good evening, board members, president, superintendent. I haven't had anything in a while, but I definitely have a whole list of things today. So we've been working a lot with a lot of education partnerships with your district. It's been amazing. First thing, just to give you guys an update with our star-based stuff, we got everything together and we're waiting right now for CCC to post the director position. Once a director position is posted, there'll be a panel of people from Clovis Community College and Canadian Air Force Base that will go through the candidates and select a director. Once we get that done, then I'll be visiting all the districts with the director, getting a POC from your district, and then we'll hopefully be implementing it in August. And then TUDOs, we have been talking about a spring one. I went ahead and we gave a date. So we have a tentative possibility for April that we're going to be doing TUDOs again. And we did get approval to take educators up on aircrafts again. So it's going to be an amazing day. So hopefully we'll get a lot more people that volunteer for this, and hopefully they'll eat before they go this time. It should be great. She knows. And then Mr. Lazaro and I and Ms. Strickland, we've all been working on our Lucero on the CTE agreement. Right now, our agreement is back with our legal team on base. They're going over a few things in the education partnership agreement. And then once we get that back from them, we're hoping to have our CTE program start in the next couple weeks. We have some kids that we're looking at from Clovis High School in the CTE program, healthcare, CE, different kinds of areas. And we're gonna get them into those squadrons, so they can do some internship as a senior. So that is our next thing on our plan. We've been working on this for over a year and I feel like we're making strides finally. So we're all very excited about that. And then squadron adoption, we've met with one of your schools so far and we confirmed between the district and the school that they are going to adopt them. So we're working on that and we have 2 more squadrons and 2 more schools that we're looking at. We're just waiting to have the initial meeting to say, yes, we're going to do this. What does the parameters and everything look like? So we can go ahead and get everybody volunteer trained so we can get started. And then I've been working really close with Mr. Williams on the outdoor grant. So excited he got that awarded. We've been meeting to talk about what that's going to look like. And we have some squadrons on base that we're going to pull in, possibly our STS and our SARE units. So they can come in and do some outdoor skills and teach the kids how to start fires, how to put them out of course, how to survive in the wilderness and all of the great things that our airmen do in everyday life pretty much. So we're excited to be a part of that and stuff. And we've been getting a lot of just volunteer requests, all various different things to be in the schools with. The Amazing Shake is coming again. So I know you guys are going to have the district one at E&M Youth. If you have the date, let me know. And if you need volunteers for that piece too, you can go ahead and get you some as well. So, and that's what we've been doing lately. So I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for having me.
That's good stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, we do not have our students present tonight, so we'll move into our annual trip request from our ROTC for their Abilene trip, and we do have representatives here if you want to get some more of the details.
Good evening. My name is Les Ball, and I'm one of the 2 JRTC instructors at the high school. This trip to Abilene is the same competition we went to last year. It's hosted by Cooper High School, and it's a large competition, about 20 different high schools that compete, and has several events. We'll be competing in 10 events, which is nice for us because our Sabre team also gets to compete at this competition. And the students really look forward to it. And it's a great trip for us. We appreciate your support. Any questions for me?
What are some of the events we're going to be competing in?
We compete in armed regulation, armed exhibition, unarmed regulation, unarmed exhibition, female color guard, male color guard, male physical fitness, female physical fitness, first year, and Sabre team.
Right on.
So it's a great competition.
Other questions?
I have no questions.
All right. Need a motion then to approve this trip.
I'll make a motion to, or a motion.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cordova and a second by Mr. Martin to grant the request to travel to the ROTC. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you very much.
Have fun.
My next item is our need for you all to discuss who else may join in as a foundation board member for the CMS Foundation. If you just want to come on up, if you all have any questions, I do believe that it's in the bylaws, if I'm correct, that we need to have 2 CMS board members, or that's.
I'll have to double check the bylaws to see if it's 2 or 3, the third being yourself in your spot. So
Yeah, it would have to,
Yeah.
In our informational items, we got that you need 2 board members in.
okay. And so it's essentially the minimum is the 4 meetings per year for the quarterly meetings, and it's just to have that representation. I believe Mr. Hamilton is a sitting member.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Epps vacated her slot on the CMS Foundation. So anything else that you want to add? Go ahead.
just for those who may not be familiar with the CMS Education Foundation, we're an independent nonprofit. Clovis Schools is our sole primary beneficiary of all of our fundraising activities. So throughout the year, we conduct a handful of projects, namely giving scholarships to graduating seniors each spring. We also conduct the Young Masters Juried Student Art Show, also in the spring. We give out mini grants to teams and educators serving students throughout the district. In November, we issued $26,000 in those grants. And then each May, we do the Hall of Honors banquet where we honor, CHS alumni who have gone on to do some pretty epic things. So again, we have those vacancies just to kind of strengthen our collaboration with the district. So we'd love for your consideration of who might want to join us for our first board meeting of the year this Friday morning.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
like to nominate Mrs. Egbert.
Oh, no, it's not a motion, it's just, if you are interested, if
That's
there's
all I-
somebody
that's
who's
all I have to
interested.
She is interested.
That's bullying.
Don't feel bad.
If somebody is interested in doing it, that would be awesome. It's a good chance to meet with other community members for that.
We know Friday
Like I
morning
said,
is very short notice, so we'll be flexible with our expectations.
I'm currently on the audit committee and the worst possible member of the wellness committee, so.
I would be interested. I
Awesome.
am out of the state on Friday.
Okay, no problem. I'll be in touch.
If no one else is
Thank you.
dying, have another thing. Ms. Egbert, the job is yours, so thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Scott.
That was very gracious.
Yes.
And then I
Be
just have a
glad to have you.
handful of updates for you. In your packet, there is information about our launch of our strategic plan process that will unfold over the next 6 months. We put together a really great committee of 35 people who will come together for a monthly meeting from between now and June, and to help identify some of the key priorities and goals that we need to set for the district in the next 5 years, performance indicators. And then at the bottom of that set of material, there were some possible dates for a couple of board work sessions. So the way that this will work is that we'll pull together that steering committee, and we've partnered with Insight Education. I'm really excited. Our consultant should be in town about now. She'll be here tomorrow morning for our first meeting. And will take us through the process of understanding what should be included in a strategic plan, helping to set our mission, our vision, identify those values and what are those things that we need to strive for in the next 5 years. We'll be sending a survey out for families and get some student input. We actually have students on the steering committee. That's another one of your fun jobs that we've signed you up for, Ms. Osborne, as the president, is to be on the steering committee.
I'm excited about it.
And then we'll come together for 2 work sessions with the board, and you all will actually vote on the final mission, vision, and those key priorities and benchmarks that will really help guide the direction that the district goes over the next 5 years. So I just wanted to let you know that that is well underway. We've had really great interactions with our consultant. She's got years and years of experience in education and is a retired superintendent as well. And so we should be coming up with some exciting things to chart the next 5 years. So be on the lookout for that. The second thing is some really good news, and I know that Ms. Westbrook will update you on this as we are required by law. But we've been watching our chronic absenteeism, especially since the COVID years. And this time 2 years ago, our chronic absenteeism was in the 40th percentile somewhere. Last year, we dropped that down into the 30s. And on our 80-day count this year, we had dropped that down to 25%. And so that's a huge accomplishment, and that's really a step in the right direction. We think that the things that we're doing to engage kids and help them to feel successful is beginning to pay off. And we know that we'll see academic outcomes if they're actually in their seats. So, and then Sarah did mention that we have our district, it's our first ever district level Amazing Shake competition that will be held February 4th at Eastern. We have a district RCA, I guess, liaison. She's kind of overseeing. We have someone appointed at every campus who's helped to implement the RCA strategies and the Amazing Shake at campuses and actually all of our campuses, elementary through middle school, have participated. So they have their top candidates that will go to the district competition next week. So I would encourage you to drop in if you haven't been invited to come participate. And then we'll be sending some students and a parent and a sponsor to Georgia to compete in the global Amazing Shake. So be on the lookout for that. And then we just wanted to let the board and the public know that we are very well aware of all changes that are taking place at the federal level. And just from what I was listening to this morning to this afternoon, things had changed and judges have gotten involved, but we just want to communicate that out, that we know that those changes are happening, and we're trying to be very responsive to that. And we'll be coming with recommended changes so that we stay in line with those guidelines. Just, I think yesterday afternoon, it was that the New Mexico School Board Association sent updated guidance for Title IX, recommending that we revert back to the 2020 policies. Of course, with deadlines for Open Meetings Act, we did not have time to put that into this packet, but we will be coming and just bringing back the language that was present before. That's the recommendation from the attorney for the state School Board Association. There were some districts that had not yet adopted the new language. And so this recommendation came out yesterday. So that is specific to policies, and then some of the language in the discipline matrix that was specifically related to the 2024 guidance. We'll be looking to make those amendments and bring those to you as well. In the meantime, our coordinator for Title IX has reverted back to the 2020 processes and forms that were in place before the 2024 guidelines were adopted. And so we just wanted to make that known to you all. You may be getting calls. You have to be ignorant to not be hearing about these changes that are coming from the federal level. And so we just wanted to call that out. And then I just want to remind everybody that our 60-day session is underway. And we know that there are some state guidelines that perhaps our community is not necessarily comfortable with the New Mexico Human Rights Act. I've personally reached out to every single legislator in the state, trying to call attention to that. It's the very beginning of the session. And so I would just really encourage everyone in our community who feels strongly about that, because we still answer to state law. And so we need some changes. If that's the will of the people, that's what needs to happen through the legislative process. But we just wanted to draw attention to the fact that we know that things are shifting, and we're going to be responsive to that. So,
And I think it's worth noting that they're shifting at the federal level first before we count on our state to respond.
right. And then my final thing was another thing that kind of came in last minute. On Friday, Clovis had a very, very good day at the New Mexico School Personnel Association conference. First and foremost, Mr. Strickland was awarded the Human Resources Lifetime Achievement Award, which was voted on by school personnel officials across the entire state. And so we just want to congratulate him for that honor. Andrea Bell, who's a member of our Employee Services Department, also received an award for her support role. And then Mrs. Carpenter was named as a president of that association. And so we had really great representation. And Mr. Strickland was very surprised when his family was in the audience, and he thought they had slept at their home in Clovis the night before. They were there that next morning. So just
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
that is all I've got for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Academic services.
Good evening, President Osborne, members of the board, and Superintendent Russ. We brought to you last semester the purchase of a food trailer by our student nutrition department. And Mrs. Westbrook, I'd like to bring her up. She hosted a student art competition to design the wrap for that food trailer. And so she brings that to you tonight.
Good evening, members of the board. President Osborne, thank you for your time. If I can have just a second, I just want to reiterate what Renee said about attendance. 25% is what we validated at, and that's a number we haven't seen in a long time. And so I just want to publicly thank, because it's a culmination of so many people that work hard at that daily, district-wide, and all the way from our leadership, all the way to administrative assistants in the building, teachers, parents getting their kids to school each day. So I just think that's a good thing to publicly acknowledge.
For sure.
And so for the rap contest, and every time I say that, I have to tell myself it's a rap contest, not a.
That'd be an RAP.
I'm not gonna get up here and rap, but
And neither are
anyway,
you.
so before, in your packet, you had 4 final selections
Mhm.
that were selected by the art team at the high school. And so what we are hoping tonight is that you as a board could select the final winner. And then that is the artwork that we will use to cover or wrap our food trailer. And so once we have selected the winner, we will notify that student, and then we would like to bring them back for a future board meeting, and they can see the food trailer wrapped in their artwork, and also get to come before you and maybe share a little bit about their vision, their art. And so do you have any questions for me?
Well, thank you for bringing it to us. It's a hard decision, I have to say, so. You guys have any conversation before we make a decision?
I know which one I like.
I know
Yeah.
which one I like.
Nice, yeah, same way.
It's kind of hard though,
Okay.
because they was all good.
They were all very good.
They were
Yes.
all very
Mhm.
good, so. We'll pick whatever, but I just want to say that I love them all, but number 3 was my favorite, but so.
Your vote's for 3.
Yeah, but I think we have to do it probably more formally, but we can go through and see what everybody's favorite was, just so the students know.
So I was also 3, 4 was a real close. second.
Yeah. All of them were awesome.
They were.
So we have 2 3s.
2 3s.
2 3s. I was a 4 with a 3 as a close second, but they were all great.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I like number 4.
Oh, Mr. Martin.
Who's got the biggest money?
I don't know.
I like number 4, to be honest with you, because I think the artwork is less fading or bleaching, or what do you want to say? Because it's primarily 2 to 3 colors. I mean, yeah, so my vote is gonna be number 4.
Mr. Martin got technical.
He did. It's like number 4 might be the winner.
I think so. I can certainly support any one of them, so. If we have a motion then for the one that we're gonna choose.
If that's the case, I move that we select number 4 as our winner for the wrap concession stand.
And a second, and a second from. Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Martin and a second from Ms. Egbert to select drawing or number 4 as the wrap for the trailer. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's number 4. But
Thank you so
congratulations
much.
to all.
Thank you for your
Yes.
help.
Yes. Employee services. We feel excited to have you speaking to us.
Yeah, celebrity.
Honored, yes.
Just hope my family didn't show up again. No, that was a real honor. I appreciate that. President Osborne, members of the board, I have some good news on our employee services report and our open positions report. On our open position report, I got off the phone right before I came down here. We have 1 regular ed position at elementary that's open, and we had a couple of candidates that interviewed. And they're good candidates. So we're very close to getting that filled. I also was able to sign last week before I left an agreement with our International Alliance Group, which will allow us to hire J1 or H1B visa employees from around the world. We're looking mainly for areas that are hard to fill with American citizens, which is right now SPED. And so it looks very promising. We should have some movement on that. In addition, our proximity virtual teachers have a training tomorrow to get the process rolling for them. So our SPED number is better, and it's going to be way better next time. So just want to brag on that.
So the J1 or the H1 visa people will be on site.
They'll be on site, and they
virtual.
have the potential path to citizenship. So if they're good employees and they want to stay in America, there is a path for them to be able to do that. Unlike the J1 visa, which requires them to go home after 5 years and spend a year back in their own country. So
Thank you.
I stand for any questions about that.
Sounds like positive news.
We have some really good movement going on in there. The next one, and member Egbert, we do occasionally have medical leave of absences that come up, and just since it's your first time, I just wanted to take a second to explain when an employee has either medical leave or some other kind of leave that's going to extend beyond 12 weeks, it does require board approval. And so I come to you tonight with one that has a medical leave request that will be over 12 weeks. And so it is an action item, a consideration item. And they're just numbered. We don't put, for personal protection of privacy and medical information, we don't put a person's name on there.
So we need a,
I'll make a motion to approve.
okay.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Hamilton and a second from Mr. Martin to approve the medical leave of absence. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Financial matters, Ms. Niente.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Russ. Tonight, I would like to introduce to you Gwen Mansfield Vogt and Angelica Trujillo. They will be going over our final 2024 audit report.
That's correct, Heather. Thank you. And nice to virtually see you all. Can I share my Zoom or my PowerPoint up there?
Yes, you can.
Okay, let me get that set up. Okay. Are we good? See the proper one?
Yes.
Okay, and apologies for my voice, everyone. I had strep throat last week and it's still giving me a couple of issues. So we don't want to take too much of your time tonight. Obviously, we all got a lot of stuff going on, especially with your new committees. So we're just going to go a brief overview of kind of what the audit is, a few insights into some of the financial matters for the district, and then we'll let you all get back to your regularly scheduled meeting. So this is the official presentation to the school board for the audit 2024. That is a typo right there. Obviously, this is for the year ended June 30, 2024. We have our timeline. We started middle of the summer or so, when we can start getting end of the year information. We worked through the fall, and we did submit to the state by the deadline, which was November 15th. The state always takes at least a few weeks. This year it was about a month and a half to do their review on these reports and get them, tell us, okay, you can go ahead and issue. So at that point, it becomes we go ahead and present it and give it to y'all, and then it does also become public information, and it is available on the state auditor's website as well. All right, so here's these dates. Looks like it was released right prior to Christmas. So I guess that's a nice little Christmas present. Myself, I was on a cruise in the Caribbean, so different things on my mind. My child finally moved out of the house, so we could do things. Okay, so just a little brief thing here. We issue 3 reports when we have an audit with a single audit. The first report here, the independent auditor's report, this concerns the financial statements and the disclosures for them. The Clovis schools did get an unmodified opinion, which is the best you can get. What that says is basically these financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with US GAAP. We cannot verify every single dollar in there, but they are, they are in such a way that people can look at these numbers and rely on them to make decisions related to the district. That's pretty much what that opinion says. And we had no audit areas where we couldn't get enough information or stuff like that. So we were able to render an opinion on everything related to the schools. And also this year, for the first time, the foundation. Okay, the second report we issue is the Government Auditing Standards Report, also referred to as the Yellow Book Report, because back in the day, the cover of the book was actually yellow. So this kind of covers the internal controls surrounding the district that relate to financial matters. And also some state law type things, the travel and per diem rules, the procurement, stuff like that. For this report, we pretty much say we did or did not notice anything that we should report. We don't dig in as deep on the numbers because, the way people act and policies and procedures are a lot harder to nail down than a bank account. So this is just negative assurance, whether we did or did not find items. This year, we did have two findings in this report. One was related to revenue classifications for the federal expenditures, state versus federal revenues. And then the other one was some IT related matters, some logins to bank accounts and whatnot. I know the last time we were talking about these with Heather, that one's already cleared and fixed and all good. So now our third report, this is for compliance with federal programs. Okay, this is probably the deepest dive we do in an audit. A lot of it is checking, that the costs were spent appropriately in accordance with the rules, reports were filed, and those funds were used for their purpose in the way they are intended. There was an unmodified opinion again, which is the best. We had no issues with compliance or internal controls in this area. And this year we delved into two major programs, which is Title I, which is funding for lower income schools, and then the special education cluster, which funds, teachers and whatnot for the special education programs. Okay, we'll go over just some quick highlights here related to the financial matters of the district. So first of all, this is a 5-year trend really for cash investments for the district as a whole. You'll see here, this really starts in the COVID times. So everything was a little weird back then, but cash balance has been pretty steady until in this year, they really shot up. This was really due to the hail reimbursements received from insurance for damages in the prior year. There's also about $3 million for PFSA funding for ongoing capital projects. So, really, if that hail damage hadn't happened, the trend would be a lot more even going up in those years because the cash went out and then it came in later. Okay, just revenues and expenses for the whole district again. Pretty close over time. But you can definitely see the trend going up there as children return to school. And as all the COVID funding really got out into the schools and the local economy. Back to the 21-22 range, there was some refunding bonds that, that is an expense for the government-wide, for the governmental funds, those payments, but they're also revenues when they come in. So those things do really affect the income statement here. In the last couple of years, there's been a bunch of salary increases through PED, and we also had a bunch of capital outlay additions coming in. As that money, especially the COVID monies, are being spent to improve the schools before they're kind of taken away when they expire. Okay, now we'll look at the general fund itself quickly. Of course, this is the main operations. It's not dealing with all the federal and state funding, really just operations of the district. And you can see here again the 20 to 21. Everything was weird then. Shut down. So there was a curtailment on both revenues, expenses, and cash going in and out at that time. Then 21 to 22, as some of those COVID funds came in, maybe money that had been spent out of the general fund, moved into those new funds as to get the schools back open and all of that. You also see that decrease for the hail damage paid out, and then again coming back up as those were reimbursed. So it's a general upward trend, just with a spike there in the middle. There's also some timing issues here, just with the payroll hits at the end of the year. So since cash is going in and out for that can also kind of skew these numbers a little bit. So that here is the revenues and expenditures. See here, revenues have been steadily climbing, especially in the last couple of years. Again, that's the last couple tranches of the COVID funding. And, the SEG funding has also risen, and additional funding from the state, related to those payroll increases and stuff like that. And then you'll also see those expenditures going way back down and now rising to be about comparative with the revenues going forward. So we would expect that to pretty much stay steady, assuming no major changes, but who knows at this point. Okay, we'll go over the foundation briefly. This is the first year that they have been audited through, the state auditor process. And the first year that they were included as a component unit in the district financial statements. And that decision was made really that the foundation exists to support the students of the district, giving out scholarships and stuff, and fundraising on behalf of the district. So that relationship there is so significant that the foundation does qualify to be reported within the school district. They only have the one report. They're not truly a governmental entity. They did have the unmodified opinion again, so the best opinion. They do have the internal control report there, and they had one significant deficiency and the one NMSA finding. That's a small violation of state rules. The state of New Mexico is odd in that they require us to report almost every little thing. So there are often those come up in audits. But no problems really at all. Kind of a challenge just working through the process, but we got it done very satisfactorily, made the deadline, and now we can move forward. Yeah, Heather's always very, very helpful. Everybody we deal with here is, Angelica's been working with the district for years and years. We're very happy to just, work with y'all. Angelica, is there anything that you'd like to add? I've been kind of hogging the spotlight.
I was muted. I don't have anything else to add. Like Gwen said, Heather's always great to work with. All the program directors that we normally work with in the single audit, they have been very helpful each time it's their turn to have their programs audited. And so I really appreciate all of your work and help through the audits.
100%. The schools do a great job, so that's pretty much it for us. We'll let you all get back to it. Just keep on doing a wonderful job, everybody.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Angelica. And I stand for any questions.
Well,
everything's
congratulations,
good.
first of all.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Had a great team, so I appreciate them. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That's all that I have.
Okay. Open forum, Ms. Gina.
So we have a card from Charles Otero speaking on the open forum policy.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for allowing me to speak, President Osborne and board members. My topic tonight is open forum. I was very concerned last time during my 3 minutes, which I thought was open for speech, opinions, and ideas to be spoken, to be cut off. So I didn't quite understand it last time. I thought it might have been an error. Today, I did the same thing. I studied the white sheet that's out front and the card that we use. And it made perfect sense that there's an area that if you wish to speak concerning the agenda, what agenda, so you guys would know, or the president could decide when to allow that. Then there's one that says, I wish to speak during the open forum item on the agenda. And I just double checked myself and looked at the definition. That's a 3-minute segment for those of Clovis that live here to share their concerns or ideas with the board. I was told at the beginning of the meeting that listing open forum was not allowed by the board clerk. Again, she's a wonderful person. She's just following direction. First of all, I asked for a policy. She could not present one at all. I said, can you show me the policy? And no policy could be shown, only this. And then also on this form, it doesn't have a place to give a specific item. under specific item, I said open forum. That wasn't good enough for the board. Now, I'm shocked. I represent myself and Legacy Church, and we want to be part of how you understand our community. But it sounds like, and I know this is likely not your intent, but there's limiting of speech. And I've never had the opportunity of considering something possibly being bullying, but it felt that way. And I didn't know if it was because I strongly believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and I was sharing in the past my ideas of what God has written in his Bible to all of us. But I would really like it that people come and have 3 minutes, like I'm about ready to finish now, just sharing my heart with how the school board may facilitate our children. So in the future, unless I'm missing some policy or something, I really believe open forum should be like it is with the city council. You have 3 minutes to share your concerns. Thank you for listening.
Haley Drake regarding transparency.
I didn't know if Renee was ready or not, so I was just waiting a second.
Everybody's ready. Go ahead.
Okay. I do appreciate being able to speak, and I appreciate Renee's very general response to the email I sent this afternoon regarding all of the changes that have been happening from President Trump's executive order to Biden's Title IX guidelines being completely struck down by a federal judge. And I'm glad we can all hopefully move past that. I do wonder still how parents will get to see the exact policy changes. I did write on that card transparency because I feel like we struggle to have that with not only parents, but also with the teachers. I know many of them who feel that way, not because I know the teachers personally, but because they have reached out to me and said, thank you for speaking on this. It has been very uncomfortable for us. I have countless teachers who I've never met before who are nervous to speak against it because they feel there'll be repercussions. And I believe them, and I know that's not an exaggeration because I can look around this room and see staff changes. And that is also a direct correlation to them being associated with us. And by us, I mean our church and people who are speaking out against things that the school is doing. I also am curious if our state doesn't fall completely in line with Trump's executive orders, how will we know which policies you're adapting and not adapting? Will the teachers be forced to still use preferred pronouns? Like how will parents find out the exact things that are going to be implemented? And it's not just the bathrooms and the gender where there's the lack of transparency. My daughter's school was put on lockdown. It was so extreme that they said, wasn't a full lockdown. It was just shelter. What is it where they stay in the classroom and are supposedly still learning, except for they weren't switching classrooms. The cops came in, brought in equipment and had everybody walk through a metal detector and all the backpacks searched. Parents weren't notified. The only reason I know that is because when I saw it on Facebook, I went up to the school and spoke to a cop outside the school. And then I checked out my daughter. They tried to tell me I couldn't, but since it wasn't officially a lockdown, the policy does allow me to check her out. So I did get to bring her home. But again, parents were never told anything. So then speculation starts on Facebook. And so it just feels like there's a huge lack of transparency. It feels very confrontational. Speaking at these meetings, I know I've said that before, but we do not know any other way to speak to you guys. We were told it's intimidating and it's not polite if we come up to your table. Although I watched 3 other people who are not affiliated with us allowed to approach the table before the meeting started and speak to you guys, and you were laughing and casual with them. So it does feel very much like very confrontational. I don't want it to be that way. I have tried having meetings. I have tried emails and phone calls. We're not here to be confrontational. We're here to communicate. And if you could just let us know how we could do that, that would please you better, then we would accommodate you.
I have no other cards.
No weather. Hey. Announcements, Ms. Russ?
believe February 5th, we have progress reports going home. Weather dependent, we may have Super Snow Monday on February 10th. However, we're supposed to be in the 70s on Sunday, so it's looking pretty good between now and then. And I just want to add there is that we're kind of caught between two worlds with inclement weather, because the law says that we have to meet a certain number of hours, but the rule that's still caught up in the court system talks about days, and the day doesn't count unless students are there for 5.5 hours and have an hour lunch. And so it gets really tricky making those decisions, because we don't know when they'll come back later and say, well, now the rule is definitely in effect. And so after Memorial Day, you're going to have to pull your kids back in school. So we're just kind of trying to walk down the middle of that, both sides of that. February 17th, all campuses and district offices will be closed for President's Day. Our next regular Board of Education will be here on February 25th, 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
And entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion from Mr. Hamilton, a second from Ms. Egbert. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.